In a land forgotten by time, where the sun painted the earth gold and the wind carried the voices of ancestors through rustling banana leaves, there was a village that rose with the crowing of roosters and slept under stars older than memory. Here lived a girl named Glory, not known for wealth or beauty, but for silence, the kind that grows in houses where love has long since left. Her father, Mr. Thomas, was a man whose heart had grown hard like dried cassava. Once a young dreamer himself, life had beaten him into bitterness. His farm was the largest in the region, but his soul was the smallest in the village. Glory, barely 17, was his daughter not by love, but by law. Her mother, Grace, didn't offer comfort. She had long accepted that her husband's harshness was the soil they all had to grow from. Glory swept the compound each morning, as if the dust could erase the bruises inside her. She was the invisible string holding a crumbling home together, cooking, cleaning, never speaking back. And then came Harrison. He arrived at dawn, carrying nothing but a ragged bag and eyes full of storms. Word spread fast. He was from the city, fleeing something. Nobody knew what. Mr. Thomas gave him work, not from kindness, but to use his strong arms. For 3 moons, Harrison labored from sunrise to dusk, clearing bush, lifting logs, planting seeds into stubborn soil. His palms split, his back bled. Yet every Saturday, when payment was due, Mr. Thomas would wave him off. Next week. When I sell, come tomorrow. But tomorrow never.
The 4th Saturday came with a sky heavy with heat. Harrison, his body aching and spirit thinning, approached Mr. Thomas at the front of the compound. "Please, sir," he said, wiping sweat from his brow, "I've worked faithfully." "I need my money today." Mr. Thomas looked up from his stool, chewing on a bitter cola nut, eyes scanning the young man like livestock. "You need money?" he asked with mock surprise. His gaze drifted to the corner where Glory swept the ground in silence, her face tired beyond her years. He chuckled, a laugh so dry it cracked the air. "Take her," he said, pointing at Glory. "She's your payment." Glory froze. Harrison blinked. "Sir?" "You heard me," Mr. Thomas said, standing up. "You've earned her. Good-for-nothing girl. Let her be useful for once. Take her to the city. Do whatever you want." Glory dropped the broom. Her knees buckled. "Daddy, please," she whispered. "Silence," he barked. "You should be grateful anyone wants you." Grace, her mother, appeared from the kitchen door, arms folded like judgment. "One less mouth," she said. "Let her go." Glory fell to her knees, tears carving rivers down her dusty face. "Please, I'm not an object. Please don't do this." But no one listened. No one even flinched. Harrison looked at the girl trembling on the ground, abandoned, humiliated. Something in him shifted. He saw her, not just as a girl, but as a spirit broken by the people meant to protect her. "I'll take her," he said quietly. And just like that, her life changed. She packed a small torn bag with her clothes. No one hugged her, no blessing. Only her younger brother Sam crying behind the mud hut, waving goodbye with a tiny hand. The bus that took them to the city was old and loud. The road was long, winding through dusty plains and forests that whispered. Glory didn't speak. She stared out the window. The only home she'd known was gone, but it had never loved her anyway. She didn't know what waited ahead. She whispered under her breath, "God, please, let this man be different. Let there be peace." The bus pulled into the crowded city station just as dusk spilled gold over rooftops and tin shacks. Glory held her bag tightly, eyes darting from face to face. She had never been in a place so loud, so fast, so full of strangers. Harrison led the way, navigating the chaos with a quiet confidence. He hailed a small tricycle, and they rode in silence through crowded markets, past glowing signboards and dusty alleyways until they reached a quiet street lined with jacaranda trees. At the end stood a large compound with a black gate and flowering bougainvillea climbing the walls. Harrison knocked twice. A guard nodded and let them in. The compound was clean, peaceful. The main house was white, with wide steps and gold-trimmed windows. But Harrison didn't stop there. He led her behind the mansion to a modest boys' quarters. 1 bedroom, a small living room, a kitchenette, and a clean bathroom. "This is where I live," he said. I work as a night security guard for the woman who owns this house, Mrs. Walker. She lets me stay here for free. Glory looked around. The walls were plain. The floor was bare, but the door locked. The roof didn't leak. There was a real bed with clean sheets, and no one yelled. No one hit her. She stood still for a long time, then whispered, "It's beautiful." That night she lay on the bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the gentle hum of the city. No crying, no scolding. No one reminding her she was unwanted, just stillness. Her mind whispered, maybe peace is possible. At dawn, the smell of frying eggs woke her. She stepped into the kitchen and found Harrison cooking. "Morning," she said quietly. He turned and smiled. "Morning, Glory." "Sleep well?" She nodded. "Like a baby." They sat and ate together, simple food, but it tasted like kindness. Afterward, Harrison said, "Get dressed." "I want you to meet someone." Nervously, she changed into her neatest gown. Her heart pounded as they approached the main house. The black door opened and a gracious woman in her 50s appeared, wearing a flowing wrapper and kind eyes. "Good morning, Harrison," she said. "And who is this beautiful young lady?" "This is my wife," he replied, placing a hand gently on Glory's back. Mrs. Walker's eyes twinkled. "Ah, so this is the girl you told me about. Come in, my dear. You are welcome here." Glory stepped into the main house like she was stepping into another world. The floor shimmered, polished like river stones. Ornate furniture stood tall and proud, and golden light spilled from a chandelier shaped like falling stars. She kept her hands close to her body, afraid to touch, afraid to breathe too loud. But Mrs. Walker placed a gentle hand on her shoulder and smiled. "You're safe here, my daughter," she said. "This house is full of peace, and now that you're here, even more so." They sat in the grand living room, sipping juice from glass cups as Glory answered soft questions about her village, her likes, her hopes. "She's quiet," Mrs. Walker said after Glory had gone, "but her spirit is loud. That one has depth." Back at the boys' quarters, Glory cleaned, arranged, and made the space feel like home. She even began cooking again, and wrote them down in a small blue notebook Harrison had bought from a roadside stall. One night, as the wind rustled the curtains and moonlight spilled across the room, Glory turned to Harrison. "I want to tell you something," she said. He paused from where he was tightening a loose screw on the cupboard. "Go ahead." "When my father gave me to you, I felt like trash, like something thrown away. I thought maybe you'd be worse than him, that once we reached the city you'd hit me, yell at me, use me." Harrison looked at her with soft eyes and said nothing. "But you didn't," she continued. "You gave me space. You respected me. You fed me. You made me feel human again." Her voice cracked. "And even if I'm not in love yet, I want you to know I'm not afraid anymore." Harrison walked over, knelt in front of her, and took her hand. "Glory, I would never hurt you. That's not the kind of man I want to be. I saw something in you from the very first day, before your father even gave you away." He smiled faintly. "You were like a flower growing from concrete. I admired your strength." Glory wiped a tear from her cheek and whispered, "Thank you for seeing me when no one else did." That night, for the first time, they slept not just as strangers in survival, but as two hearts gently beginning to heal.
Weeks passed, and Glory found a rhythm she'd never known. Waking in peace, cooking with joy, feeling herself bloom in ways she never thought possible. One morning, as she stirred a bubbling pot of agouti soup in the main house, Mrs. Walker walked in. "You cook like someone with healing in her hands," she said, smiling. "Where did you learn?" "I taught myself, Ma," Glory replied. "I used to practice in the village when I could." Mrs. Walker nodded. "You have a gift. My cook left for Canada with her family. Would you consider replacing her?" Glory froze, spoon in hand. "Me, Ma? Yes, you're neat, respectful, and your food tastes like love. I'd like to pay you every month. You've earned it." Glory's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, Ma. I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Mrs. Walker laughed. Glory nodded slowly, joy warming her chest. "Yes, Ma. Thank you." Then she hesitated. "Can I tell you something?" "Go ahead, child. I want to go to school. I had to stop after secondary school. But I want to go to university someday." Mrs. Walker's face lit up. "Then you must. I will help however I can. I admire girls who chase knowledge. Glory couldn't stop smiling. That evening, she ran into the boys' quarters and jumped into Harrison's arms. She hired me, she shouted. Mrs. Walker hired me and supports my dream to go to school. Harrison held her tight. That's my wife. Look at how far you've come, from pain to purpose. But just as everything seemed to align, a shadow returned. Daniel, Mrs. Walker's son. He had just returned from a long trip abroad, and from the moment he laid eyes on Glory, something predatory flickered in his gaze. The first time he saw her, he stepped into the kitchen and leaned against the wall, smirking. Damn. My mom said you were beautiful. She didn't tell me you were divine. Glory didn't look up. Good afternoon, sir. Don't call me sir. Just call me Daniel, he said, eyes tracing her body. She ignored him. But the seed was planted, and it would grow into temptation, tension, and an ultimate test of her loyalty, her strength, and the future she was trying to build. Daniel returned the next day and the next. Always with a joke, always with flattery coated in arrogance. One afternoon, as Glory prepared dinner, he stepped closer than before, lowering his voice. Look, I won't waste time. Be with me. I'll change your life. I'll send you abroad, London, Canada, wherever you want. You'll have everything, new phone, clothes, freedom. All I ask is you. Glory's hand paused mid-stir. She turned slowly. Sir, I'm married. To a guard, Daniel scoffed. That's not marriage. That's survival. She stared at him, voice calm but firm. He is my husband, and I'm proud of him. Daniel smirked. You'll regret this, he said, walking out. Glory trembled, not from fear, but from disgust. That evening, she told Harrison everything. His jaw tightened, but he said nothing until the end. Then he gently kissed her forehead. Thank you for telling me, and thank you for choosing us. But it didn't stop. 2 days later, Daniel returned, this time bolder. You're wasting your beauty on a man with nothing, he hissed. I could buy your husband out today. Tell my mother to sack him. One word. Just say yes to me, and you'll never worry again. Glory stared at him. Then she stepped back and said, With all due respect, sir, I'm not for sale. Marriage? He laughed. That struggle you're living in? Yes, she said proudly, because my husband loves me. He respects me, and I'd rather sleep on the floor with a man who sees my soul than live in silk with a man who only sees my body. Daniel's face twisted with anger. You'll regret this if loyalty is a mistake, she replied. I'll make it again and again. She walked away, her heart racing, but her spirit intact. That night, she lay beside Harrison and whispered, You gave me dignity. I will always stand by you. Harrison held her close, and though the world outside their walls was changing, in that tiny room there was peace, a sacred, unshakable peace. The next morning, Glory woke with a heavy heart. She had tried to ignore Daniel's threats, tried to swallow the discomfort, but now it clung to her like smoke. She dressed quietly, walked up to the main house, and knocked. Mrs. Walker opened the door, her smile wide, until she saw Glory's face. My daughter, what is it? Glory stepped inside. Ma, I came to talk. It's about your son. Mrs. Walker raised an eyebrow. Daniel? Glory nodded. He's been making advances, offering money, promising I'll live abroad. He said he'd get Harrison sacked so he could have me. He said I'm wasting my life with a man who has nothing. Silence fell. Mrs. Walker sighed, looked away, then finally said, Maybe you should consider it. Glory flinched. Ma? I'm not saying leave him, Mrs. Walker said, but Daniel can give you a better life, education, comfort. Even your husband would benefit. Think wisely, my dear. Glory stood, hands shaking, voice steady. Ma, I'm not that kind of woman. I didn't marry for comfort. I married for love. When my own father gave me away like a goat, Harrison gave me value. I won't betray that. Not for the world. Mrs. Walker said nothing. If this continues, we'll leave this house, Glory said. I won't stay where I'm disrespected. She turned and walked out, tears rising, but her head held high. Back in the boys' quarters, she found Harrison staring at a table full of cash. Where did this come from? She asked. Harrison stood. This is my savings. I was going to start a business with it. But after what you did today, standing up to them, I want you to use it for your education. You deserve it. Glory's eyes brimmed with tears. No, she said, this is your dream too. Let's use it to build something together. Rent a small place. Start small. We grow. Then I'll go to school. Harrison stared at her, heart bursting. You want to leave this mansion? Yes, she said. Even a single room with peace is better than a palace with poison. They packed their things that weekend. Left behind the polished floors, golden curtains, and silent judgment, they found a small room in a quiet part of the city. Bare walls, a creaky fan, a shared bathroom down the hall. But it was theirs. With the savings, they bought a second-hand stove, ingredients, and a wooden table. Glory cooked. Harrison handled deliveries. Word spread. Go to Glory's, people said. Her food tastes like home. The business grew slowly but steadily. Every night, they counted coins together. Every morning, they prayed. Love was in the little things, the way he washed the plates without being asked, the way she remembered how he liked his yam fried. One evening, as they locked up, Harrison said, You make struggle feel like paradise. Glory smiled. It's only paradise because we built it ourselves. Months passed. Their food stall gained popularity. Customers came back. A local blogger posted a review. Glory's Kitchen is the best street food in the city. Orders tripled. They hired a young boy to help with dishes. They began saving again. One night, Harrison sat Glory down. We're doing okay, he said. Are you ready to apply for school? Glory hesitated. We're just getting started. And we'll keep going, he said. But your dream matters too. She looked at the man before her, the man who once walked into her life with nothing but patience, and nodded. Let's do it. The next week, she enrolled in a university evening program for food, science, and nutrition. Classes in the evening, cooking in the day. Exhausting, but beautiful. Every exam passed felt like another brick laid in the palace of their future. One morning, she received her final exam result. She had passed with distinction. She screamed, laughed, cried, all at once. Harrison lifted her into the air and spun her like a child. Dr. Glory, here we come. They celebrated under the stars, their hands wrapped around hot cups of tea, dreams wrapped around each other. But just as things settled, a knock came at their small apartment door. When Glory opened it, her past was standing in the doorway was Mrs. Walker, and beside her, Daniel. Both looked different, humbled, quiet. Mrs. Walker spoke first. Glory, we came to apologize. Daniel looked down. I was wrong, he said. I disrespected you. I let pride blind me. You stood for something I didn't understand. Mrs. Walker stepped forward. You are not just a daughter-in-law. You are a daughter, a woman of wisdom. We called you wife once, and we meant it. We were wrong to ever treat you as less. Glory stared at them, her breath caught between pain and peace. I forgive you, she said, but I won't forget. Respect isn't something to be returned. It's something that should never be taken away. Mrs. Walker nodded. Understood. As they left, Daniel turned back. Your loyalty taught me what love actually means. Hey, thank you, Glory. Closed the door gently, leaned against it, and exhaled a piece of her past. That night, Harrison returned from a supply run. She told him everything. He smiled. Peace always finds its way home. Time moved like a river. Glory graduated, walking the stage in a white doctor's coat. Harrison stood in the crowd shouting, "That's my wife." After the ceremony, he took her by the hand and said, "One more surprise." He drove her to a gated estate, pulled out a set of keys, and stopped in front of a massive white mansion with golden gates. "Harrison," she gasped, "is this a joke?" "No," he smiled. "You once told me I owed you a mansion. Well, here it is." She laughed, cried, hit his chest, kissed his face. Then she whispered, "I have a surprise, too. I'm pregnant." Harrison froze, then shouted to the skies. He knelt and kissed her belly. "Our baby will know love every day of their life." They moved into their mansion with nothing but love and a small framed picture of the food stall where it all began. Years later, the story of Glory and Harrison became one told around village fires, over market stalls, and in city boardrooms. People spoke of the girl who was traded like cattle and rose to walk in palaces.